You're listening to The Washington Report. Here's Stevie Bridgewaters.
I have done a lot of shows on cancer research, and cancer affects our whole entire community. In fact, cancer affects our entire world. I'm not the first person to tell you that. But usually I have done cancer reports or stories on like breast cancer, the ones that we hear about all the time. But today I'm going to be speaking with Johannes Heidlas, and also I'm speaking with Julie Fleshman, who is the president and CEO of the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. So thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so first let's get to the technical part. Please tell us, what is pancreatic cancer?
So pancreatic cancer is the third leading cause of cancer death in the United States. Pancreatic cancer will kill more people than breast cancer this year in the U.S.
Wow.
It is one of the deadliest cancers. The 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer is only 9%. And that's for a variety of reasons. It's a tough cancer to treat because of where the organ is in your body. It's deep in your abdominal cavity, so it's difficult to get to. There is no early detection method for pancreatic cancer. So unfortunately, usually by the time it is diagnosed, it is already metastasized or spread to other organs, and it's very difficult to treat at that point. But we do have some amazing individuals who are surviving past the odds, and Johannes here, who is on with us, is one of those people.
And it's just a blessing to see you, Johannes, and how long has it been since you found out you had cancer?
Thank you for having me. And it's been 10 years this October.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, I've been very lucky and blessed.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, absolutely. And so with that being said, telling us about some of the symptoms, Johannes, please share with us your journey, how it started.
The symptoms started in 2006, December, and I went to my primary physician for the abdominal pain and back pain. I tried to talk to him, and his response was it could be from sitting and doing some work, because I used to do some computer work, and it could be from that sitting, the back pain, and the abdominal pain could be from heartburn. So he gave me a prescription for heartburn, and I felt better. Mm-hmm. But 5 months later, start come back again, all that pain. By August was 2007 was the most painful ever I had. I was unable to do any work, and I tried to get to my primary physician. He was on vacation at that time, August of 2007. So I have to do myself a research, and I found another doctor, which is, I used to work in Virginia, not far from my job. What do they call it?
Internist.
Internist.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have some blood work and then a CAT scan. And he recommended me, he doesn't like the way he see it, so I went to have a MRI at the Fairfax Hospital in September. That's where I found out about the pancreatic cancer. I didn't even know what was pancreatic cancer. It was the most painful I ever had.
When you say pain, what type of pain? Can you describe it? Was it like a knife piercing?
Yes, the back pain was incredible, especially the abdominal pain, and sometimes also you feel nausea. It's something you cannot bear it. You cannot feel eating, or you cannot even sit and have a moment of luxury or without pain. So it was the most painful. And like Julie said, there was no early detection. And I didn't even know what it was. The same thing, my primary physician in 2006, December, he doesn't know. He just recommended me a heartburn medication. Mm-hmm. So this is what we are fighting. We need more research and more early detection way to find it out.
So, Julie, how many people are we talking about that might have pancreatic cancer, not know about it? What are we looking at?
So about 54,000 Americans will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer this year. And the symptoms are fairly vague, a little bit about what, Johannes' experience was. Their stomach and back pain, unexplained weight loss, jaundice, so the yellowing of the skin or the eyes, new onset diabetes can be a symptom, so changes in stool, nausea. So these are all things that could indicate that somebody has pancreatic cancer and should really go in and talk to their doctor. And many times doctors don't think about pancreatic cancer as being sort of the first thing to check for. And so one of our goals is to get the word out to the public about these symptoms so that people can get diagnosed faster and we can get them on treatment sooner.
I just never even thought about this, to tell you honest truth, just like you're saying. And we're so quick to diagnose or take care of the heartburn because that's the easy thing to do. And sometimes people just don't know what to think, where to go. So what kinds of questions can our patients ask doctors? Do you have any information on that?
Sure. Well, maybe I could talk a little bit about the risk factors because certainly, we're not suggesting that every time you have a stomach pain that you should go into your doctor and ask about pancreatic cancer. But if you have several of these symptoms all happening at the same time and can't figure out what's going on, this might be a discussion to have with your doctor. And then there are some people that have a higher risk for pancreatic cancer. So if you have a family history of pancreatic cancer, then you're more potentially at higher risk for getting the disease. Diabetes, long-standing diabetes can be a risk factor. Pancreatitis, chronic pancreatitis can be a risk factor. Smoking is a risk factor. And then African Americans and Ashkenazi Jews have a higher incidence of pancreatic cancer. So these are some of the things. And then, of course, the older that you get, unfortunately, all of us are more susceptible to things like pancreatic cancer as well as to many other diseases.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. And Johannes, you have been a survivor of 10 years now from this. So how long did it take from you visiting your doctor to actually being diagnosed? Did it take? Was it a long period of time?
It is. The symptom was in 2006, December. And then it started come back again in 2007, May.
Okay.
So that's about 5 months. And then from there, I see progressing the pain. Try to contact my primary physician.
Right.
But by August was the worst thing, so which is about 8 months. And I should never had to go that long.
With that kind of pain.
Absolutely, because the pancreatic cancer is just one of the fastest growing. If you think about it, within a year, it goes about 60% or 70% spread it out.
Right. Did you have surgery?
Yes, I do at Georgetown in October, which was 3 days after my daughter's 6th birthday.
Oh, wow.
I have a teenage daughter.
You can say that.
Yes, it's a blessing. I've been very lucky to live in the area where a lot of hospitals and the physicians are Georgetown, Johns Hopkins, all those areas. In Georgetown, I had the Whipple, October 11, 2007. And then after that, I had chemo radiation for almost a year, including all of that. After that was every 3 months, every 6 months. So the last 5 years now, I've been free of cancer, and I don't have to go for any follow-up. So it's a blessing. That's what I
it is.
Luck and blessing.
Yeah. And so, Julie, he was talking about the Whipple. I know a lot of people probably go, what do you mean a Whipple? I know of a wiffle ball, but what's a Whipple? And I would encourage our listeners, if I may, to go onto the website, and that's www.pancan.org. So if you could tell, I don't know if you can, about the Whipple procedure. I know it's very technical.
Sure. So only about 15% of pancreatic cancer patients are even eligible to have surgery. So Johannes was very lucky, one, that he was able to have surgery, especially after it took so long for him to be diagnosed. That's definitely, he was very lucky. Many times the disease goes undiagnosed, the disease then starts to spread, and then the patient is no longer eligible for surgery and can only have, chemotherapy or radiation. So about 15% of patients are eligible for the Whipple procedure, which just usually means that the tumor is still in the pancreas. It has not spread yet or metastasized to other organs, and so they can go in and they remove part of your pancreas and several other organs, a lot of your pipes around your your pancreas, and so then those patients become diabetic. And so certainly it's not an easy procedure. It's a very difficult procedure, and we encourage patients that are going to have it to go out to a high volume center where there's experienced doctors. But one of the reasons why we need an early detection method is that so more patients are actually eligible for the surgery, so that they can go in and try to remove that tumor. And then some patients still need to have chemotherapy and radiation following the tumor following the surgery to make sure that they are able to get everything out, which sounds like is what Johannes did with his. And so really what the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network is all about is providing information and services to patients and families like Johannes who can get him information so that he can make informed decisions, but also working very hard to raise money to fund research so that we can, discover an early detection test so that we can create better treatment options for patients and change outcomes, change that 5-year survival rate.
Right. And so what types of fundraising do you do to help this effort?
So we have amazing walk events all over the country. They're called Purple Stride. Purple is the color for pancreatic cancer. And so actually just had a Purple Stride event in Washington, D.C. this past weekend, and we have 55 of those events in communities all across the country where people can come and walk and, be a champion for someone in their life that has pancreatic cancer or just a champion for this disease. And then obviously there are many different ways that people can give and donate and help us fund research grants and help us fund some of the exciting research and clinical initiatives that we are spearheading as an organization.
Yes, I can see Johannes has his hat on here in the studio. It has heels up on the top of it. I guess that's just the motivation to get those feet moving. Right, Johannes?
Yes, indeed.
Now, did your entire family participate, or were you able to participate?
I've been participating since 2010 for the last 7 years now. My daughter, she's a teenage. The last 2 years she was not. But this is one of the inspiring, and I do voluntary work also for the PanCan for DC area. There are a lot of wonderful people who trying to do good things for the PanCan and educated people and spread the news. Like I say, whenever they have such symptoms, to go and follow up.
Right.
So it's a wonderful area to live in this area. And then the PanCan also, whatever they're doing for the PanCan, for the people who are affected by the pancreatic cancer, their family, which is also affected. It's not only the patient, the family also, the caregivers. That wherever they go. But this Saturday was wonderful. 4,000 people coming in to DC to the Freedom Plaza to see them and helping to drive cancer, which is pancreatic cancer actually, and have some kind of treatments or early detection.
Right. Is there treatment currently, Julie?
There are approved treatment options for pancreatic cancer, as well as many different clinical trials that are going on all over the U.S. That patients can enroll in. And obviously clinical trials are the best way for us to, get to new treatment options for this disease. So one of the things that our organization offers, we have a wonderful call center called Patient Central, where patients and families can call in and talk to a trained associate here in our office that can provide them with information and resources, all across the disease about all different areas, but in particular about clinical trials. We have a clinical trials database that we keep of all of the pancreatic cancer clinical trials that are open and enrolling in the U.S., and we can do an eligibility search for people to find a trial that may be best for them, that's in their geographic area. So it's something I think that's a very valuable tool for patients and a way for us to move towards getting new treatment options for this disease.
What is that number, Julie? Do you have
Our toll-free number is 877-272-6226.
There you go. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to give that number again. And Johannes was talking about, being here in the nation's capital and being surrounded by all of this energy, if you will. And so tell me about funding. I know that there has been a change or upcoming changes regarding funding at the federal level. Can you share that with our listeners?
Right. Absolutely. So besides raising money for research that we, PanCan, are funding across the United States, we also advocate for increased federal research funding for all cancer research, but obviously specifically looking at pancreatic cancer. And so there are concerns right now with proposed budget cuts to the National Institutes of Health and the National Cancer Institute for all biomedical research. And so our community, PanCan, is hosting an advocacy day coming up this next Monday and Tuesday in Washington, D.C. We've got over 650 people flying in from all over the U.S., representing all 50 states. And we will be going up to Capitol Hill to talk with members of Congress about why cancer research funding should be a national priority and why we need to continue to increase that funding to ensure that we can find, maintain and continue to build on the research that's already happening in many fields, but also then be able to focus on diseases like pancreatic cancer that need so much more attention.
Now, are you expecting advocacies from all different types of cancers, or are you just specifically talking about pancreatic cancer?
This is just pancreatic cancer. So this is 650 people who have, been touched by the disease, have lost someone to the disease. We've got about 120 survivors who are coming, like Johannes, who are coming to raise their voices. So we will be talking about all biomedical research for the National Institutes of Health and National Cancer Institute, and using really pancreatic cancer as an example of why funding cannot be cut, why there needs to be sustained and increased growth for biomedical research in this country, and why it should be a national priority for people.
Johannes, do you have anything to add to that from a survivor's perspective?
I've been very lucky and blessed, like I said, to be alive for 10 years with this deadly disease. But for anybody, especially the African American, which is high in pancreatic cancer, it's about 30 to 65% from other ethnic groups get affected with the pancreatic cancer. So my message was we need to spread it out to the area where we live, whether it's in D.C. or California or New York, to spread it out to the African Americans so they can detect it early and have a chance to survive like me. Another 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. So this was my message. Get early detection and education and spread out to the public.
And if you've noticed an accent from Johannes, he is from Eritrea.
Eritrea, yes, exactly.
Eritrea. And my lady that I work for travels to the continent of Africa often, and she told me it was Eritrea, and I looked at it, but I went to Wiki, and it said Etra. I said I want to listen, but it's It's spelled just like it sounds. And, that is a country, small country in Africa.
Right. Used to be part of Ethiopia.
Correct.
Yes,
and it's just north of it, correct?
Exactly.
So that was one of my biggest questions for you, and to get it out to the African American community, literally, not just those who are raised here in the United States, born and raised here. We're talking of people of color.
Exactly.
That is very important, and I don't want people to misunderstand.
That's right.
What you're saying.
Yes.
Because that's very important, because a lot of people are very ignorant about. Well, I'm not from there, Eritrea, so that doesn't affect me. I'm from, Florida.
Yeah. Well, I've been living here for 40 years now, 38, going 39 now. So this is my home.
Exactly. Yeah. And so with a question with that being said, Julie, is there any environmental impact that we're finding? Where are we in our research of understanding pancreatic cancer?
So besides, smoking, which is definitely a risk factor for the disease, there aren't any other things at the moment that, from an environmental perspective, but that is why we need more research, into things like epidemiology and environmental factors that could potentially be leading to diseases like pancreatic cancer and other cancers, so that we can, warn those people and educate them and get them to the doctor faster.
And speaking of research, government, we know how it is. Are they threatening to take monies away that have already been slated for pancreatic cancer research, or are we just trying to make sure that we don't lose what we have?
We're trying to make sure that we don't lose what we have, and that the overall federal budget, the overall bucket for cancer research funding continues to grow, because this is a continuing, the overall incidence of cancer is continuing to grow across all cancers. And then you look at a disease like pancreatic cancer, where not only is the incidence growing, but the death rate is also increasing, which is why pancreatic cancer is now the third leading cause of cancer death in the United States. So we need overall federal funding. But cancer research should be a priority in the United States. And so our message is that it should be a priority, and that funding needs to be adequate to ensure that we can focus on all the many cancers, and especially on diseases like pancreatic cancer that are so deadly and that have been ignored.
A quick question for you. I know that with some individuals who have cancer, they go to certain regions or certain hospitals to get, quote unquote, the best care possible. Are we finding that we have a lot of doctors that are knowledgeable about pancreatic cancer?
So about 80% of pancreatic cancer patients are seen out in the community setting, so not at a major medical institution, where those physicians don't see very many pancreatic cancer patients. I mean, at the end of the day, you spread 54,000 Americans who get pancreatic cancer across the U.S. with all of the doctors. Right. There are many places where a doctor maybe only sees 1, 2, 3, sort of a handful of pancreatic cancer patients. So we definitely encourage patients to go to a specialist, to go to a place, a high-volume center where those physicians and surgeons are used to dealing with this disease. It's a complicated disease, but we also realize that it may not be practical for everyone to get to a major cancer center, and so that's why we want to educate people about the symptoms and about the options that are available to them, so that they can also help educate their doctor when they go in to see them.
And I have to say that your website is very, very informative. I mean, it really even gets down to the team members, if you will, healthcare team members, what their part is in helping the patient go through the process. How does this affect families? It seems like it's so sudden.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I can tell you about my own experience.
Oh,
my
please do.
dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer back in 1999. He was only 52 years old, and from the date of diagnosis to the date of death was only 4 months.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
So, that's a fairly, unfortunately, typical story, that he had some symptoms that, nobody suggested that it was pancreatic cancer, and by the time he was diagnosed, it was pretty late stage. And, especially back in 1999, there were very few treatment options available to him. And so, it impacts the entire family. We were all in shock, and you're trying to gather and get information. And back then, there was no organization to go to help, provide information and resources. And that's really why I've gotten involved in this movement. After that experience with my dad, I wanted to make sure that no one else had to go through that in the same way and not have information and not be able to make informed decisions, and to help be a part of the solution so that we can have better treatment options and we can change outcomes for patients.
And I'm speaking with Julie Fleshman, who is the president and CEO of the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, as well as here in studio with me, Johannes Heidlas, who is a 10-year survivor of pancreatic cancer. And you guys will be walking together, if you will, on Advocacy Day, which is being held by the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. Now, one quick question. How did the two of you meet? How did you find Julie? Julie, how did you find Johannes?
So we are so lucky that people like Johannes, who have been touched by this disease, find our organization, whether it's online or a lot of times through our local affiliates. So we have a local affiliate there in D.C. That connect with people like Johannes to get them involved and engaged. And then, we provide these opportunities like coming to Advocacy Day next week, which I think is an amazing experience for all of us. It inspires those of us who work sort of on this cause every day, but also I think for Johannes and his family, it's a way to be around other people that are part of this community and who have similar stories. It's pretty powerful, and we all leave feeling very empowered, and I feel very lucky that I get to work with people like Johannes every single day.
We are lucky also to have you, Julie. The work you're doing is a phenomenon, and to be around an Advocacy Day or other days also is we are lucky to have you.
Quick question for you, Johannes. How is your daily life now? What is it like?
I'm blessed, like I say, to be alive and to see my daughter growing. She was 6 years old when I was diagnosed. Now she is 16 in high school. She will be graduating in a year and a half. And I've been enjoying, and each day is a blessing. I never thought when I was healthy each day was a blessing, or to appreciate, to believe each day, or talk each day to your family. Now, after my diagnosis with cancer, I do appreciate life, see my daughter growing, and my hope is to see her also graduate from college and having also the life like anyone else, except that there is a scare. I don't know whether it's heredity or not, but hopefully with the research going on each year getting better and better, hopefully they will find out about it. But I've been very lucky, especially to be around here, around D.C. and in the United States. It gave me a second chance to live. So I'm very happy.
Now, were you able to go back to work, or did you change your focus?
I did change my focus. I'm 64 years old, so I'm retired. I've been working for almost 30 years. So whatever time I have, I want to spend it with my daughter and see each day as a blessing. And volunteering with the Pancreatic Cancer, and there's another organization also I do volunteer with, the Hope Connection for Cancer in Bethesda, where I go each day to do yoga, meditation, and all the other things that it needs to be done as a cancer patient to survive.
Julie, is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners?
I think just that, if people cannot join us on the Hill next Monday and Tuesday, there is a way for people to participate. We are hosting a national call-in to Congress day next Tuesday, June 20th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. East Coast time, and we have a script that people can use. They can go onto our website, find out who their member of Congress is, find the phone number for the office, and then we have a script for people to use so that they can talk to their member of Congress's office about why federal funding for cancer research should be a priority. So we would love for it to have more people call in and help us spread that message, and they can find that on our website at pancan.org/call Congress.
There you go. See that? There you go. Get on that phone and call.
That's right.
And, the work that you guys are doing together, you with, the advocacy, and Johannes with supporting and helping and growing and learning. I hope to hear a lot more about how well this pancreatic cancer research is going, that we're making some headway and making changes in people's lives.
Thank you so much. I'm excited about the momentum in the field, and with people's help out there in the public, donating and giving of their time and calling their members of Congress, I have no doubt that we're going to get there, and we're going to have a lot more people like Johannes.
This is true, and thank you also, CBS, for giving us this time to spread the news and educate the public about pancreatic cancer. So we need for our community, also for each, it doesn't matter whether it's DC or any other community, we need to spread it out. Thank you, CBS.
And as I always say to our listeners before wrapping up, staying in touch to keep you in touch.